So welcome everybody to our panel discussion today. We're going to be talking about total immersive experiences in dome, live theater, and also special venue. And we're very lucky also because we have probably the best people in each of these particular areas speaking today. We're going to be starting off talking about all the different areas, and then we'll do a Q&A at the very end. We're going to be starting off speaking with Eric Hansen, who has a company called X-Res Studios. They specialize in photogrammetry, do some really innovative technologies, and beautiful imagery. So, Eric?
Yeah, sure. All right, thank you, Stacy. Is it this keyboard or that keyboard? Okay. All right, good morning, everybody. Hopefully we've all had our coffee. I know I have. The theme, I think, for this panel is very broad. What I'm going to do is just talk a little bit about some of the experiences I've had working on immersive content and kind of our approach to it, and maybe some lessons learned from this. But the first thing I'd like to point out is that I guess I'll start by saying I'm a visual effects artist first and foremost. I've spent probably 25 years, I think, in the field in theatrical, working in all many large visual effects facilities, mostly Digital Domain, ImageWorks, Disney Feature. But in any case, in that time, I've been a backgrounds artist, an environments artist, and developed a lot of large cityscapes and environments or different features. But about 8 years ago, I met my business partner, and we ended up deciding to take a lot of those techniques and apply them more to natural sciences, natural history, cultural heritage, areas of visual effects don't normally live in. So, and that's the basis of our company, X-Res, and we started, actually, I'll talk about doing very high resolution work, thus the name Extreme Resolution, but nonetheless, a lot of the work that we've done has kind of lent itself to immersion, and this is the three areas that we've worked in the company, and it just so happens this is a class. I'm on faculty at USC in the film school in the animation division. And I've begun a class that covers these three. So we spend 5 weeks in IMAX, in the new IMAX screen that SC has opened. We spend 5 weeks in Full Dome, and then we spend 5 weeks in VR. And we show how the storytelling opportunities are, what's consistent, what's varied between those three, and then also what the production demands and techniques are to do that type of work. And I just started this class last spring. It was a huge success. We're going to continue this now every year, and it's been rather fun. But this is one slide that I put together that kind of represents those three worlds. When we began our little company, we got involved with gigapixel photography still images, which is we thought was a fascinating gateway for visual effects or to be used in visual effects. And this is a mosaicing of imagery. This is now kind of democratized and become somewhat commonplace, but we were one of the early adopters of this. And these are the type of images. This is the first one that we took about probably 5 months to produce. Now I could do this in probably 20 minutes time between the shooting and the post. And we've worked with companies like Adobe and so forth to help them create tools that support this level of imagery. This is a slide that kind of shows the representative or kind of a scale reference between 2K theatrical, 4K digital IMAX, and then large format stills, and what this kind of imagery can offer. And of course, there's no cinema, contingent to this, but the fact is, all this can be used in visual effects pipelines in various ways. And this is again some early techniques where we took that imagery and then we used terrain modeling as ways to project that image onto, and then we'd have a 3D world that we could then begin to do virtual cinematography with. So a lot of our company is innovation-based, looking at ways to use visual effects to create new types of immersive experiences. Once you have an image like that that's very high resolution, but also has a sense of dimension to it, this is kind of a 2.5D hybrid world where you can see the inside of the original image, but then we can bring in CG water, and as we raise and lower the water, it integrates with the shoreline of, say, the Eastern Sierra, in a accurate way, or we could add CG weather and we get proper shadowing and interaction with the peak. So this affords, I think, some very interesting opportunities. Another key part of what we do is what's called photogrammetry, and this again is kind of beginning to democratize now, but this is the ability to scan or capture elements in the real world. This is a project we worked with Autodesk to try to help unify their pipeline or their approach to photogrammetry. This is a laser scanner at the lower right, and this is kind of the older, more expensive, but very accurate way of capturing things digitally. But now it really just takes a DSLR up on a pole, carbon pole that we use, and from that you can derive very, very rich 3D models. This is a case of a lava tube wherein you can see the component images, some of them. You can see the cameras that have been reconstructed. I apologize for all the light pollution on the image, kind of hard to make out. But we found great use for this in full dome. And again, kind of hard to see the detail here, but nonetheless, in full dome, one of the big challenges is that there's no camera of high enough resolution to make a 4K by 4K fisheye image. Even the Red Dragon doesn't have enough vertical resolution to use a fisheye properly for full dome. So one way that we work around this is we digitize the world, bring it into a program like Maya, and then use stereo lens shaders, or basically stereo optics, digital optics within the program to put out very accurate stereoscopy and immersive formats. Full dome is the easiest because it's a 4K fisheye, generally mono, but now we've transitioned over to VR and we're producing full stereoscopy in a VR world. But these are different scanned elements. This is a bristlecone pine tree that was scanned and became an element in this art film that we made. This, and again, unfortunately all the details crushed out of it, but this is a very nice 3D model taken from using just a simple DSLR. And again, if I had more time, I could open this up and tumble it around, but it's just a beautiful capture and an example of the kind of very high quality and detail that you can get now using this technique. This is just a test we did for full dome, for 8K testing in the dome and with a few manufacturers. And this is a kind of a fantasy scene taken of some of the scanning we did up at Mono Lake and trying to play with scale. And we have this in VR as well. But we use a lot of these techniques on different science films. This is a full dome title called Super Volcanoes. We did gigapixel and photogrammetry on this to cut away below the gram prismatic and show just how close the magma volume really is, which is just below screen, by the way. Kind of frightening to find out. And then most recently, last year, we did a lot of work with Bjork and continue to work with her on her different VR projects. So about 2 years ago, as VR got going, we realized a lot of these techniques had transferred directly over to VR. We're already working spherically, commonly with full dome. So anyway, Bjork at one point, last year, she had a big show at MoMA in New York and wanted to have a dome immersive theater. So we went over, we did a lot of tests, went over to Iceland and explored these different rather amazing landscapes with her. And again, this involves a track which is about divorce and violence and being wounded. And so we looked for this kind of jagged landscape to capture. We ended up, and again, you can't see any detail, but really nice location with this deep ravine. And here we used, again, Autodesk participated, so we used their laser scanner and photogrammetry to reconstruct this beautiful ravine, and again, very dark, but beautiful set of laser scan data, which was acquired from this. This is the laser scan data directly, but you don't get much, really any considerable texturing with this, so there's more technique to that. So what we did do is we did a lot of photogrammetry, and this is actually reconstructed cameras. The real dense green lines down on the ground are done with a pole, with a carbon pole and a DSLR, trying to understand how to best shoot for occlusions and things like this down in the ravine. The aerial cameras that are flying up in the sky are from a drone that we use carrying a 36 megapixel Sony A7. And that gives us a very, very high resolution to work with to reconstruct a landscape like this. And this is kind of more of the ravine. Again, all the details gone. And then this is laser scanning of a lava tube that was done for the show, and then what we get from photogrammetry from that as well. And in the end, this was became a rectilinear projection theater. So it wasn't the dome after all, but we were able to use all those assets. And then the last project that we did recently was with a very curious project called Time. It's a kind of a fine art, temporal land art project based out of New Mexico, funded by the state of New Mexico. And this couples two artists. One is the famed Chinese artist Ai Weiwei, and we went to his studio, visited, and I got to do photogrammetry on him, which is very interesting. And then a Navajo artist named Burt Benally, who does this fire-based kind of work out in the New Mexico landscape. So this was a very curious collaboration between the two. Weiwei saw a corollary in the New Mexico desert to the Gobi, where he was raised as a child. His father was the poet laureate of China, but banished to the Gobi during the Cultural Revolution. So in any case, long story short is Weiwei provided this graphic that was done with ground pottery shards from some of the pots that he's broken, the Ming vases. So there's actually some ancient Ming vase particle dust left in the New Mexico desert in this remote canyon, which is kind of curious. And then Burt Benally did this other piece, a fire performance that was done. So basically we were there to do a dome film, contracted to create a film that kind of celebrated this event. And you can't see any detail here, but this is a frame from it, and it's called Pull of the Moon, but it's a full dome feature that the state funded. Again, sorry about this, there's all kinds of detail, but this is a recreation of that landscape shot with drones and some of the same techniques. And this has gone around to different festivals at Art Basel, and this is an opening they had in Santa Fe, but we also did an interactive installation of the piece, and then we re-rendered it for VR. So that's one thing I can say that's great about immersive content, is that it can cross borders or boundaries of different media types rather fluidly, which is one thing that we're very interested in doing. Right now we're very busy working on a lot of VR titles. We're working on a title for Jaunt VR currently, and but we have a whole series planned. This is some of the different work we've done up in the Himalaya and up at Everest Space Camp, and we have titles to take you there, as well as these kind of fantasy CG environments. And this is going to be a whole series that we'll have called VR Traveler to let you experience kind of remote exotic locations in VR. So I think that's probably about 8 minutes. All right, thank you.
Speaker is Dina Benedon. She's a veteran, not only in the visual effects, animation, but she's a co-owner of a company called Super 78 Films, and they've been around, I think, for over 17 years. Mm-hmm. Brilliant work, and they've been kind of a leader in not only immersive entertainment, but one of the first companies to work with the Oculus.
Hi there. I'm Dina Benedon, and I'm a producer of immersive stories. And I am so not technical. I love the future and I love technology, so much so that I married it. And my husband is a techie, nerdy guy. And he's also my business partner for the past 18 years. And so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Super 78, and we've been using words like immersive and interactive since we started. Let's see here. At Super 78, we design media-based attractions that showcase at world-class theme parks, museums, science centers, and aquariums. Attractions themselves are immersive experiences in the real world, and today I'm going to show you 3 different examples of the types of attractions that we produce: immersion tunnels, flying attractions, and interactive live characters. There we go. There they are. So what we do at Super 70 is unique in that while our core talent is storytelling, we work with studios to bring their characters into the physical world. Or we create original worlds and characters ourselves. And the unique thing that we do is that we also innovate new technologies to work with the immersive experience. We're always looking for tools that can improve the guest experience, and if the tools don't exist, we make them. So in 2012, we designed an attraction for Movie Park Germany, and at the same time, the Oculus DK1 debuted, and we started using it to develop a new software that we called Mushroom VR. And it's a way for us to facilitate design and produce the media and collaborate with our stakeholders. Oops. So the Lost Temple is a 3D immersion tunnel with a 270-degree U-shaped screen, a motion-based platform, and multi-sensory experience that seats 60 guests.
Movie Park Germany's The Lost Temple is the world's first full field of vision immersion tunnel attraction, wrapping guests in a completely immersive projected stereoscopic image. The high adrenaline adventure takes riders on a perilous trip into a subterranean realm where dinosaurs still rule the Earth. The stereo imagery is delivered through 7 pairs of HD projectors at 11.5K resolution onto a tremendous 5-meter-tall wraparound screen. Each ride vehicle sits on a motion-based platform capable of massive pitch, roll, and heave coordinated to the on-screen action. Our biggest challenge was to create effective stereo imagery for so many different rider perspectives. We created a custom ray trace camera shader to accurately translate the CGI environment so that it would be correctly viewed from multiple rider positions simultaneously. We designed and implemented our own camera projection method. It factors the actual position of the ride vehicles in the virtual environment and generates a seamless stereographic image fit to the theater's specific screen geometry with continuously shifting viewer perspectives. We were able to bring CAD models of the show theater, screen, and ride vehicles into our proprietary virtual reality pre-experience design and review tool for the Oculus Rift. By doing so, we drastically shortened the design and production timeline and significantly lowered the budget by allowing anyone, anywhere in the world, to accurately experience the entire attraction before any construction began, an industry first. With all the elements working together, the Lost Temple puts guests squarely in the middle of a groundbreaking blockbuster adventure.
See, I could have never said any of that, so had to play that for you. So at the same time we were developing, we were developing a custom flying attraction that's like Disney Soarin' over California. And back in 2010, we had produced 2 flying films for theme parks in China. Flight of the Dragon took us on a scenic tour of mainland China, and Flying Over America was a scenic ride over some of the US famous landmarks. These projects require that we do more than just produce the media, and by default we became the attraction producers, which meant that we coordinated directly with the ride manufacturers, the audio and video engineers, and the various disciplines that needed to be integrated to make a successful show. But that was 5 years ago. So now with VR, our process has dramatically changed in ways that we couldn't even imagine. Currently, we're working closely with architects to design this theater for a new flying attraction, which is going to be on the West Coast and opening next year. Oh, there it is. So with Mushroom VR, we're riding the ride in our office every day, and our partners are able to meet us in the virtual theater to give real-time notes and make real-time fixes and adjustments and even edit picture. So, and back in 2012, when we got the DK1, we were also working with Nickelodeon, developing a new attraction for SpongeBob called SpongeBob Subpants. So this would be an opportunity to transport guests to Bikini Bottom and inside the animated characters' worlds, and then they can allow them to speak directly to Patrick and SpongeBob. Plus, guests would be able to choose their own adventure. And for SpongeBob, we took the technology that we produced in 2010 for DreamWorks. We did a Shrek attraction called Hook's Donkey Live, and we took this knowledge and the platform itself to the next level of immersion by developing our new software, which is called Geppetto. Geppetto is a portable digital puppeteer software that allows audiences to interact with animated characters in real time and for the first time in 3D. And then this is the gaming architecture and the map that we used to develop the script. So we worked simultaneously developing this and the script. And then here is the theater. And we had media on both of these screens at the same time that would interact with the show.
Geppetto's animation control system is Super 78's proprietary living character animation technology. We developed Geppetto ACS because we wanted to make cutting-edge, future-quality digital puppetry practical and affordable for any kind of entertainment venue.
It's all digital puppetry. That's really the best way to say it. So I've got a headset, so when I talk, Patrick talks, and I do his voice, and so it's kind of synced up to his vowel movements and things like that. As far as his body goes, I have controls, buttons, a controller that I use like you would a marionette or any other kind of puppet.
Geppetto ACS has the capability to incorporate multiple characters, branching storytelling, 3D imagery, multiple scenes, and multiple in-theater effects.
The Geppetto stage is designed to play back video files underneath both live and pre-recorded animation sequences. With Geppetto ACS, we generate a comprehensive library of predefined animation bits. This gives the show the most spontaneous and live interactive feel.
We're giving the digital puppeteers and the operators the tools that they can do anything they want.
This is the next step in this digital puppetry evolution because it's a 4D element combined with choose your own adventure for the audience combined with an interactive digital puppet. It's awesome. I've never seen anything like this before.
So VR is a platform that instantly had a huge return on investment for us and for our partners. So since 2012, all of our projects use Mushroom VR for some aspect of development or production. At the onset of each project, partners and stakeholders are set up with a Mushroom system, and we essentially kick off the project with a virtual tour of the site and the theater. And with our VR partners, they feel much more a part of the production process, and we have a more accurate production tool. Plus, with the substantial cost savings, we can preview the physical space, we can see projection sight lines, interact and test the 3D, and hear the music and the sound effects, and edit the picture in real time. In the attractions we produce, guests are experiencing immersion into imaginary worlds with their families and with their friends. So it's a group experience. And while there's obviously enormous potential for VR storytelling in the near future, at this time, we're using it as a tool to help us tell more immersive stories. So that's all I got.
Our next speaker, Jenny Ogden, has a company called IQ Productions. We'll get her PowerPoint up here. And both the next two speakers are extra special because my company, Evolver, was working with IQ and Vortex on a project called Constantine, and we won the award last night for the Dome, for the Special Venue Dome project for Digital Hollywood, so that was Great for everybody. And Jenny's company specializes in projection mapping and immersive theatrical experiences.
Thank you. Hope everybody's doing well today. So this morning I woke up and realized that today is the day that Back to the Future came to, and I thought that was kind of apropos. Here talking about, you know, the future and entertainment meets technology, AR, VR, immersive. Not exactly what they envisioned for today in the movie, but back in '85, but I think it's pretty cool nonetheless. So my name is Jenny Ogden, and I'm a creative producer and entrepreneur, and I have a small a boutique production company called IQ Productions. We specialize in immersive design, live theater, 3D projection mapping, and really blending live talent with visual design and really as a choreography element in theater. So one of the things I wanted to show you first is 360 Immersive Theater. And this is, I'm going to show you some images from a show that we've been workshopping in the Vortex Dome. And we're taking live theater into a fully immersive dome theater environment and really working on creating a new language in theater with this. Finding that sweet spot between a live theater experience and a cinematic experience. So we're having a lot of fun with that. We did a little presentation in February and got some really great feedback. We're going to do another one in December. And so we continue developing and writing for this. I really feel like this is the theater of the future. You really have an opportunity to affect people on a truly visceral level, take them on the journey with you, play with those moments where you've got this innovative, interactive thing going on with the talent, and those moments where you want them to look up and have that wow moment of the immersion, and other moments where you really want to direct their, their eyes back to what's going on stage. So anyways, this is really exciting. We've got 2 shows in development, and I'm just absolutely enchanted with this format. I think it's going to be huge. I can't wait to tour these projects. So really a blend of live theater and cinematic experience that's it's really experiential. It's something you really have to sit in the theater and experience to truly get a feel for what it is. So we do a lot of work in traditional theater with visual design. And I really wanted to show you some video from the last project we did, but I didn't get permission contractually to do that. So this is for our client, not something that we developed ourselves. So they'll just have to be the client that must not be named. Anyways, but what we did is, we do visual design, and usually in a proscenium theater, you're working with an RP screen, a scrim, maybe doing a little projection mapping or side screens, but it's not really an immersive experience. And we've, for probably a decade now, been talking immersive about, especially this client we do a lot of work with, and wanting to really immerse the audience more. So we've done things where we're doing a lot more immersion with what's going on in stage and playing with the visual design and the live talent and really treating them as an element of the choreography with the visual design. What we've done recently is we've projection mapped the entire theater. So we created made a traditional theater into a fully immersive environment, which it was a lot of fun. This one opened in June, and when the show opened, the audience, you could hear a collective gasp when the projection came on. So I always consider that a success story. And we've been asked to do 2 more theaters for this company. So we're busy mapping and creating fun content for a couple of theater shows in a more and more immersive way. And really playing with what we can do with content, live performance, and even moving set pieces. So, for instance, you have this scrim. I don't know how many people have done any theater, but a scrim is downstage at the front of the stage, and then there's a rear projected screen as well, and you can place the talent in between and have fun with bleed-throughs and that sort of thing. But really taking it to the next level, so as the scrim lifts, as the performers fly through, really using that moment to create the illusion that we're moving into the cell or into the story by expanding as the scrim rises, expanding the projection out into the house. So really looking forward to this next one. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And Constantine, you'll hear a lot about Constantine. It was such a great collaborative experience having the three of us. I love that we're all here on this panel today after last night's win as well, so that was fun. And I know Ed will have a lot to say about Constantine, but I did want to talk a little bit about the conversation around Constantine when we were creating it, producing it. And that was, what is it? Because, of course, Constantine was for NBC, the television series, and we did it for Comic-Con. And there was a little bit of a conversation about what it really was, because the last thing we wanted it to be was TV in a dome. It wasn't a TV show. It was a 4D experience. And finding that sweet spot, that magic, where like, staying with what the television series was about and representing that and creating something between what the TV narrative was about and really a thrill ride to create a really fun, exciting 4D experience is what we were aiming for. So, and I think we succeeded. So it was a huge hit at Comic-Con, had guests down the block, so that was a good one, fun one to work with. So. And then to Full Dome, we also recently did a Full Dome music video. It played at Art Basel last December. And this was something that I really loved doing because my background way back in another lifetime was music, the music industry. And also because it was really about cultural storytelling, because this band were, they're Seminole Indians, and the music video was really telling the story of their people. And what was really difficult about this, though, was we had zero resources. We had a video that they had produced themselves, shot in 16:9 format. And we had some historical photographs of the tribe. And we had to turn what was a 16:9 HD video into a Full Dome experience for them. So what we did is we created from that, not only from the video, but ourselves, we created some immersive environments. And we played a lot with their historical videos of the tribe. And then what we wanted to do really was tell the story in the top of the dome and have some fun with mosaicing with the original music video. And it turned out really well. And so we went from a 16:9 aspect ratio to a 4:4 aspect ratio for Full Dome. And so then a glutton for punishment or loving the project, one or the other, we decided to also take it to a VR piece. And so we took the 16:9 video and the immersive video that we had created and took that 4:4 aspect ratio or 4:1 aspect ratio video and turned it into a 2:1 aspect ratio video for Oculus. And it turned out really well, actually, surprisingly. We shifted down the POV of the main video piece and decided to play with reflective elements so that we could mirror a lot of it. So that was something that was a lot of fun to play with very limited resources and just see what you can do with a traditional 16:9 video. So. And so anyways, I just wanted to kind of bring it full circle and talk about, from a development standpoint, when you're building a brand or your story or that sort of thing, I think that we really need to work on really looking at the full transmedia storytelling world, from the writer's table, from the development, on down, because we're living now in an immersive world. I think we're going to continue moving in that direction. And from an immersive storytelling standpoint, from the inception of a project, is really, it's no longer a matter of an afterthought marketing thing. It's really got to be learning how to create your story world in an immersive world, and not forgetting about all of the different ways that you can tell story these days. So, anyways, welcome to the future.
Great, and our last speaker is Ed Lance. He owns a company, Vortex Immersion, and they're the leaders really in kind of dome technology, and they've done a number of very high-profile domes around the world. So
I'm going to switch computers here, so the audio might want to mute. Hi guys. Hello. Staying awake out there. Yep. It's a dark room here, except for that one ray of light that's hitting the screen with our 2-lumen projector here. Okay. So, should be coming up here.
You should have reversed it with the screen.
Woohoo. I think I might need to raise this. Okay. Oh yeah, you can almost see that. Okay. Well, I just wanted to show some of the worlds that I play in. I'm a member of the PGA. That's fairly recent, actually, last few years. IEEE was my first trade association. I'm a double E, master's in double E from '84, I think I graduated. And ACM SIGGRAPH I've also been very active in since 1991. And I love these domes. This is like, my first SIGGRAPH was in '91. And I'm like, oh my God, virtual reality, caves. You know, this is cool stuff. Well, I also just started a job. Hey, Kevin. Just started a job in a planetarium. I quit aerospace engineering and went to work in a planetarium. I'm like, oh my God, these worlds have got to come together. We got to map pixels on these planetarium domes instead of pinhole star projectors, you know, and rock it out and fill your retina, put a pixel on every nerve ending in your retina, right? Wideband interface to the brain. So there's all kinds of domes out there now. Actually, the digital planetariums, there's like 1,200 of them, okay? Giant screen cinemas are all converting. I don't know if, is Michael Dowd here? I guess not. Evans and Sutherland, they have 8K systems now, 8K by 8K pixels. They're converting giant screen cinemas all over the world to digital, okay? Theme park rides soaring over California, you know, those are all, you know, big dome projection systems that have a very wide instantaneous field of view, which you don't get, by the way, in a headset, right? You're a little bit tunnel vision. These just, you know, the sense of immersion can be really, really powerful. My company is doing, pioneering a lot of events dome stuff. Pop up a dome in 3 days, right? There's also little portable planetariums for indoor use where you don't need all the ballast and the air conditioning and all that sort of thing. This just shows the growth of the market. Actually, I think this is probably more interesting. This shows the dome, cinema domes and all that have been pretty flat out there. This is film type domes. IMAX and so-called giant screen theaters have really taken off, but most of them are multiplex now, IMAX theaters. They're not the big 7-story tall screens. They're not super immersive like they used to be. So it's interesting. There's this market here. This is actually trying to show a geodesic dome around these people. And what I call this is an immersive media ecosystem, okay? So you have the out-of-home immersive cinema experiences for groups of people, and you have the at-home headset experiences, which is your one-on-one interactive. And this is an ecosystem. The same production tools and techniques are used on the VR, albeit VR can be much more personally interactive, whereas the domes are more like, you know, like a tour bus going through VR rather than a sports car, okay? So, but you can still do a lot of cool stuff, interactive stuff with groups. And as you know, you guys who've been in this field, you know there's a lot of work being done now on the cameras. And there's tons of money going into this. It's awesome. John, thank you. Thank you all the people, because we've been beating our heads against this for a couple of decades. How to capture full sphere or half sphere, in the case of a hemisphere, video at high resolutions. It's not easy, especially stereo. Now the VR standard, the VR cinema standard, if you will, is equirectangular. It's equidistant rectangular. You're taking a sphere and you're rolling it out. It's actually, technically speaking, you're taking a spherical image and mapping it onto an infinitely tall cylinder, if you mathematically. What's interesting about this is the domes can take this format. Now, typically, we'll slice it at the equator, the center line, and we'll have a 4:1 aspect ratio. We'll take the top half of your equirectangular frame. But you can, of course, tilt that image first before you slice, decide which part of the hemisphere you want to crop out of your image. 6K by 3K is not bad in a dome. A 4K by 2K equirectangular is a little soft, starting to get like a little bit, so we're still a lot more pixels, and there's 8K systems out there, which in equirectangular is 16K by 4K, or 16K by 8K if it was a full sphere. That's the highest in dome systems. That's the limit of the resolution. However, we typically have been mapping what we call dome master. Okay, so it's a polar. It's just a different way of representing the sphere. Okay, and it can go all the way down to the South Pole. You have a singularity on the outside edge, whereas here you have a singularity, if you will, a pinch point at the very top edge. The entire top edge of that frame maps to a single pixel at the North Pole. The entire bottom, same at the South Pole. Here, the entire outside edge maps to a single pixel at the South Pole. So there's just different ways of mapping. So yeah, we won an award last night, a nice bottle of wine, for this project, which was last year at Constantine was last year at Comic-Con. We had a slightly tilted dome, 46 seats, and I think we busted out like 1,200 shows. So, do the math. It's a lot of people we pushed through that dome in 4 or so days of operation. And it's hard to do that with headsets, so you're getting very good immersive experience. Actually, right around the corner, we had another dome. Just about killed my staff doing this. It was another one, very similar, with beanbag chairs for Adult Swim. And both of these shows came out really great. This show was produced, we farmed it out to a Golden Wolf in the UK because they had the animation style that the client wanted. It was cool shows. We love them. We love the stuff. We put a dome in downtown project for Tony Hsieh in downtown Las Vegas. We did a party recently as concurrent with E3. And these are just commercial projects that we've done. That was Skrillex, Diplo, and a 200-foot dome. 20, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it was for the founder of Minecraft and 3,000 of his best friends. I think, yeah. Okay. And here's another commercial project that we just recently shut down. It was in last month. It's an immersive dining experience, 360 dining experience in Toronto. $125 a plate. You come in, you're surrounded with visuals. Also, thank you for blocking the light there. That's awesome. Still it's what was it Jim called it, VR PR. These commercial projects make pretty good money for us, but it's most of them are, if they're narrative, they're still promoting like a TV show or something like. We want to get more and like what Ginny's doing with the live shows and everything. We really want to get just into pure creative content. And like that. So, but in the meantime, we're making money doing this, and I think that's one thing about this whole panel. We're all making money doing these projects. They're commercially viable. This is, a lot of the VR stuff. It's investment, right? We're investing. We're hoping the market shows up. This is mature market and themed entertainment and all like that. So, got a little video here. Let's see some of the maybe see. wanted a dome in this 5-star hotel, and we're like, you want to cover up this beautiful ballroom with a dome? Come on, let's project on the walls, you know. Connect camera on the dome. So, anyway, oops. Okay, so we also have a studio downtown, a 50-foot dome theater, and it's a house projection system in surround sound. And this is where we develop a lot of our content, you know, do screenings for clients and host events. We had Hatsune Miku came and did a whole piece. She's the anime performer from Japan that has a huge following. Had an event there. Melting Rainbows live painting on the dome using a fisheye camera underneath a plexiglass, small plexiglass dome, Aaron Axelrod. It's pretty crazy stuff. I'd love to do that in a headset too, you know, like live painting. And this is Audrey Phillips. Hey, Audrey, she's here. Did a piece called Migrations, and she has that now baked into VR. And that was a live performance, live musicians performing with immersive backdrop. My partner, Kate McCallum, got a $50,000 grant to do an immersive ballet. So these are the kinds of things that we're doing here in LA. We also are launching this world tour of a piece called Ceremony, which is pretty cool. And I'll show you that, just a clip from that. This is actually a dome master. So this is your circular frame that goes overhead. And there's audio in that. So he's playing a drum. It's called a hung or a hang. You know, it's like a steel drum that you play on your lap. And James Hoodie's the drummer from The Pretenders. And this artwork is from an artist, Tatiana Plakova, in Russia. And so we've been taking her art and doing cool things with it and journeying. It's like it sort of starts out very meditative and ambient and then starts to rock it up a bit, you know.
Does your heart vibrate with you?
Yeah, so it's just the trailer. So, one other thing, this past year I helped SIGGRAPH out. Jeff Jortner, who's the chair of SIGGRAPH, if you don't know, SIGGRAPH's I guess it's the world's largest computer graphics conference. We created a VR village and actually had the help of Cosmo from VRLA and Silicon Valley VR, and these guys helped us out. And we had a dome. And so, you know, so we had, what was cool, it was a little 30-foot dome, 50 seats. In addition to, we curated over 70 VR experiences. And the basic idea is it's a screening room for virtual reality. You know, you have the Computer Animation Festival at SIGGRAPH. Okay, well, that's the world's best content on a flat screen. All right, but you know, this is SIGGRAPH. This is like like cutting edge world, the greatest. You know, how do you screen immersive content? So again, the dome came in really handy for being able to share with lots of people, right? These experiences, we had DreamWorks came in and flew us through their dragon ride, you know, and gave talks, you know, about how they produce their content, which is really cool. So we're going to do that again next year. I don't know if we'll have the dome because it's in Anaheim. And everything gets shrunk down. It's a boutique kind of a thing. But yeah, we had tons of awesome content. Some of you guys had your content there, and live performances and everything. So, you know, be sure. I mean, if you want to screen at SIGGRAPH next year, so you know, just let me know. Or Denise is chairing again next year, and we'd love to have you guys exhibit. Anyway, I guess that's it. Yeah, thanks.
So we have about 10 minutes, and we wanted to leave some time for Q&A. So we can open up the floor now for anybody here who has any questions for people on the panel. Right here.
finally the time has come. It's so exciting. How do you all market yourself? Because there's so many opportunities, from opera companies to shopping malls to brands. How do you go about marketing?
Word of mouth a lot.
Yeah, for us it's word of mouth. I mean, we have a website, we do some social media stuff. We don't buy ads, or maybe some Google AdWords, I think, or something. But what happens is I mean, it took us like 3 or 4 years really to get it going. We did a few projects, built a portfolio, and then the word of mouth starts to catch on, and people build trust. A lot of it's about trust. I mean, if you're going to put $500,000 at some crazy thing, you got to have trust.
Yeah, and it's also been, for us at least, really kind of a natural progression, and something that we've been doing for 15 years with the visual design and talking about getting into more and more immersive. So, between theater and immersive spectaculars and projection mapping, which has really been our area for quite a while. That's, we have a lot of clients that are that have been our clients for many, many years and keep coming back, which is great. And a lot of new people that are, excited about this format, excited about getting more immersive, excited about VR.
And we do panels like this.
Yeah. Are there other? Go ahead.
How much of this is a stereoscopic 3D, and how much of it is just 2D immersive?
Yeah, I would say, actually a sphere is a two-dimensional surface in polar coordinates or spherical coordinates. I would say there's really only a handful of true stereoscopic domes out there. It's a very difficult thing, actually. Screens are not polarization preserving, so you have to use shutter glasses or Infotech glasses, and there's only a handful of them. However, you'd be surprised. I mean, and it's just like with the headsets. I mean, sometimes people don't even notice it's not in stereo. If you have a lot of parallax, right? POV of the cameras moving through a scene, you have parallax like that. The brain lights up in 3D, because so there's more visual cues than stereopsis, and some people can't even see. If you have one eye, you can see in 3 dimensions just by moving your head, like that.
I think it kind of makes you a little sick too. Like if you do have too much 3D,
Yeah,
you don't really need it necessarily for something so large.
In an immersive environment too, it's really, you're immersed in it, so it's affecting your peripheral vision as well. So it really does affect you like a 3D movie or experience without the glasses, which is actually kind of nice not to have
I've
this.
seen some of the projection mapping projects, more in Europe than here, that are really quite amazing.
Looks 3D.
Yeah. We've done quite a lot of that, and it really, you can really.
Have you ever mixed it?
Huh?
Have you ever mixed projection mapping?
Well, this actually, domes are projection mapping, and it's a particular case of projection mapping. Essentially, technically, it's called spatial augmented reality. It's where you're projecting onto an environment to create the sense of presence in an enhanced reality or alternate reality.
Yeah, stereo is not really required for full dome. There's been a lot of tests that kind of show the effectiveness of just mono and dome, but in VR, it's my opinion that stereo is really required. So that's what we're working hard on right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You mentioned museums as one of the things. I don't know that I saw, maybe you did, and I don't remember an example of that, but I was wondering if you're seeing crossover into that in applications where it's not just the entertainment value, but there's an education value. Obviously, in the planetarium environment, there's
totally educational,
educational, but can you cite some examples of where it's crossed over into that realm and what it brings that traditional projection doesn't?
Well, we had actually started developing a concept called Museum X, which was a way that we could take, experience museums or really go into the museums and talk to them about what could be done there. And one of the ideas that we had was really, when you go to the Met or Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and a lot of people around the world can't get there. So what if we could take it and try and create that experience for people somewhere else? So what we found was in talking to them is that there are a lot of operational issues, but also that their core business is membership, and there was a lot of pushback on what that might be. So we're still looking into that. how we can work with
We're
museums.
working on a museum project now that's for a wealthy guy in Seattle who has museums. And, yeah, it's a full sphere. It's not a half a sphere. It's not a hemisphere. It's a full sphere. And when you stand in the space, your eye is about at the equator. And you're just completely immersed like that. So you run equal rectangular content in there. 6K by 3K it'll take up to. Yeah.
Are there any other questions that people have? One question that I think just runs across the gamut for everybody is from a technological perspective, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you see, in developing VR and immersive entertainment in the future?
I would say probably getting the post-production pipeline represented in VR right now. So it's there's only one application I know of that lets you color grade while you're in the headset. There's no real standards. Actually, Ed, you can speak about Full Dome, but there's been kind of a lack of standards there too between all the theaters. So the LUTs, the projection performance varies, every location. So things that are kind of common in the theatrical world are, I think, still has a ways to go in
there's
both those areas.
Two standards efforts. One is through Immersive, which is the Immersive Media Trade Association. The other is through Giant Screen Cinema Association, which has DIGS, the Digital Immersive Giant Digital Immersive Giant Screen Specification, which is like an IMAX type spherical theater spec and flat screen also.
Well, from a guest experience, I think the headset and the and motion sickness. I mean, those are some things that I think we need to get through and figure out. And I think there's a lot of research going into that. We're certainly doing that too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, on that note, where the sweet spot will be between these little short snack size experiences and eventually getting into series television or longer form entertainment in the VR headsets.
I wanted to thank everybody for coming today and all the panelists. It was fantastic.